Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be discussing, should you buy a $10 cheap China Gorillapod, or should you save up and spend $120 or so and buy the proper Joby Gorillapods? Okay, so let's start it off here with the $10 cheap eBay tripod. Now this one here, does it do the job? It's standing as you can see right now, and what would I recommend this for? I'd recommend the cheap $10 ones for something like holding a smartphone, because if you have a look at the top here, we have this really crappy mount where you have to screw on every single time. The feet can barely even hold the weight of themselves. If we have a look at this foot right here, or this leg I should say, can barely even hold its own weight. If I was to lift it up and drop it down, it's very easy to move. And just look at this, it's just cheap. So I'm going to be saying, for a Gorillapod like this, a cheap $10 eBay one, I'd say don't buy them unless you're using it for something like unless you're using it for something like a phone or an action camera or something along the lines of that. Because yes, it's going to hold one of those types of cameras, but if you try and pop a DSLR on top, it's just going to fall straight over. Now if we have a look, we have really cheap legs, and they're wearing it at an alarming rate, and it's just, then you get what you pay for. When you pay $10 for a Gorillapod, you're gonna get a pretty crappy product. Not to mention also with this Gorillapod, these parts of the legs up here are very easily bendable, yet when you try and move like these bits right here around, half the time they just pop open like this. And that's what you're gonna get when you spend next to no money at all on a cheap Gorillapod. So now let's have a look at the Joby. Now this Gorillapod by itself is $80 from their website, plus $30 for the fluid head, or whatever it is, the head that allows you to move it around and then tighten it back up in the position that you want. And that right there is a feature that sold me in itself, because I often set my Gorillapod up and I need to move the camera the slightest bit, and then that there enables you to do so. So that is a massive plus. You can buy just the Gorillapod by itself for $50. Adding that head there is only $30 more. Now keep in mind I'm talking US dollars. So in Australia these things are about $110. That's what I mentioned at the start of this video. So that right there is the proper Gorillapod. Now if we have a look at the feet and bending the legs, you can see here that they can hold themselves and take quite a lot of weight for me to push them back down very slowly. And also, if I grab the other Gorillapod and we have a look here, we can hear that if I was to, I'm sorry, I thought it sounded loose then. If I was to bend the legs, let's just focus on it. If I was to bend the leg, it's sort of pretty cheap and nasty, and you can hear it's clicking a bit. I'm not sure if my mic probably won't pick that up because it's a shotgun mic, but it's just a very cheap feeling. Whereas you get something like this and you bend the legs, and the legs just bend into shape exactly how you want them to, and they have a very tough hold once they're in that position. It is ridiculous. Like, I'm moving that with my right hand and I'm not trying to move my left hand. The right hand is actually moving my left hand and the leg is not moving. So I've had to switch over to my smartphone's camera because I want to show you installation on my DSLR, which is what I was previously filming on. So let me get rid of the Joby to start with, and we'll start it off here with the cheap $10 Gorillapod. So first of all, we have, as I said earlier, this, let me pull focus, this is a bit different now that I'm on my phone. There we go. We have this tripod mount here and rubbery stuff here, which is great for holding it, but when you're trying to put it on the camera, it is the most impossible thing. So we get the camera, we try and line it up, and we start screwing it on, start screwing, legs falling off. And then we have this, and then if we want to take it off, let me pick up the foot by the way, put that up. And then we have what is essentially a camera with a Gorillapod, and it works fine. However, it's a pain in the ass to take it off, and every time you want to try and position the camera right, you've got to bend the legs, and that just makes it want to fall over. It's pretty grippy right now because of the surface it's on, but normally it would just fall over like you see in Casey Neistat's videos. if I had this on a different sort of surface like my subwoofer cabinets over there. So not great, it's hard to get on, hard to get off. Does it do the job? Yes, it'll do the job. It'll hold a camera, but very, very hardly, and you have to be very, very careful when setting it up that it's not just gonna flop. Obviously this surface right here is a sort of fake leather material and the rubber is gripping really well to it, but on a normal surface, when the rubber isn't gripping, it'll slide, and these legs don't have the actual strength in them to stop it from sliding. Okay, so I've taken off the cheap $10 Gorillapod and left myself here with the Joby. So let's have a look at this. You press this little button right here and it just bang, slides off because of quick release here. And then what you want to do is get to the bottom of the camera, pop this on the bottom of the camera. It's a bit of a pain once you're trying to get used to it. It's very, very hard from this distance away. I'm obviously watching this through a camera. And then once you get to there, you can just grab a coin, any kind of coin. Actually, not any kind of coin, it's got to be obviously thin enough to fit, because I couldn't get my bloody $2 or $1 coin to fit. And you just do this up, position this in the right spot like that. Obviously, it'll also be easier if I didn't have a mic that I'm trying not to hit on the table. And don't drop your coin. But you do this up, nice and tight, and then there it is. You've got a camera like this, and you've got your Joby Gorillapod like this, and all you have to do is go bang, and it's connected. And you want to take it off, no worries, bang, take it off. Oh wait, I need my Gorillapod again. This is the definition of a good quality Gorillapod that is actually going to hold a camera very, very securely, very, very well. Yeah, I've just set up my nice looking new Gorillapod, and you've guessed it, I need to get my TV in the shot. That's alright, let's just unscrew this thing right here, and then bang, we can just move it straight around to in front of the TV like that, and we can get a perfect shot on the TV. How good is that? Okay, so what's my final verdict on this? Should you buy the $10 Gorillapod or save up the money and buy the $80 Joby Gorillapod? So if you're holding something like a point and shoot, an action camera, or a smartphone, I'd say the $10 will work just fine. However, if you have the extra money to spend, I'd say definitely go with something like the SLR Zoom or the Focus. Now obviously I picked the SLR Zoom over the Focus, not because of the money. I could easily afford the Focus. I wanted to buy the SLR Zoom because apparently watching videos, due to the length of the Focus, it's actually not as strong as the SLR Zoom, and I just want it to be the most reliable looking thing. So should you buy that? I'd say if you had like you spent months saving $10 and you want to buy that, go for it, it'll work just fine. However, if you do have the option, I'd say definitely save the extra money and get the proper Gorillapod like that, because it is so much sturdier. I really just, I'm in love with it. It's the most useful thing. And yes, it's just, it doesn't fall like the Focus does and that does. I'll try and get some shots. I'll put it on a harder surface so you can actually see this one holding and that one falling over. But I definitely just pick this one any day of the week. And if we have a look here, I can, I'm holding it like this and it's very angled towards me, so I can just undo that, and you can see here that this just moves around perfectly and freely, and there, bang, it's straight. It's absolutely awesome. Definitely much higher quality than that one. And I barely did that up thumb tight then, and it seems to be holding the DSLR's weight, and that is ridiculous. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, let me know in the comments which one you'll be buying, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.